The Murrindindi Climate Network won a grant to assist local businesses to find opportunities to save energy. The MCN team has visited a range of enterprises in the region and found many opportunities. Lake Mountain has good opportunities to improve the performance of their building by fixing excessive drafts, insulating the structure and utilising wasted heat from the generators. One of the things that we identified as a major opportunity for the Lake Mountain Resort was to seal up the drafts in their building. Now we'd call that air infiltration. So on the ground floor there's windows or doors on both sides of the building and the air comes rushing through there. They need to be open for access, but there's a central atrium that allows that air to flow up through the building. That's called the stack effect, and it actually purges all the heated air from the building. If there are any air leaks up here, which we've seen a few, then that exacerbates the effect. So by sealing off this atrium, managing the doors a bit better so that that draft doesn't rush through, they can dramatically improve the performance of this building. So you can see up on these beams there's quite a lot of steel up there. It's all exposed to the air, there's no insulation around it, and steel's a good conductor of heat, which means that the heat in this building is travelling down those beams, and because the beams are exposed outside to the weather, the heat will flow outside the building. Covering those beams up with some insulation, so boxing them in, would make a significant difference to the performance of this building. It'd be much warmer and cost a lot less to heat. The heat going into that steel and flowing through to the cold outside is called thermal bridging. If those beams were timber, timber doesn't conduct heat like steel does, and you probably wouldn't be worried about insulating those beams.
So we noticed with the thermal camera, the thermal bridging with the steel beams, the general construction of this building, with the extreme temperatures on the outside. We've got -3 degrees on the outside and we had 20 degrees on the inside, and there was quite a lot of heat loss and energy being transferred through those steel beams.
At Lake Mountain Resort, electricity is produced by diesel generators and heating is supplied by a gas burner. By recovering heat from the diesel generators, it's possible to turn off the gas heating system, resulting in a substantial saving.
This is the plant room to the older of the two buildings. This system beside us of pipework provides heat to the entire building through a group of radiators. One of the recommendations was that this piping system in the back could be reused for transferring heat from the water jackets of the generators back down to this area through a heat exchanger, and that heat could be used to subsidise the heat which is currently provided by this gas hot water service. What we did notice during our auditing period was that the gas hot water service was never actually able to achieve its set point because a combination of thermal loss to the building, air leaks to the building, and basically traffic constantly leaving the doors open has accumulated in a massive amount of loss. And so the building was never actually able to get up to the temperature it was designed to get to.
Saladin Lodge is located in Narberthong and was rebuilt after the Black Saturday fires. Kim, you've done a fantastic job rebuilding here. It's a standout building. Can you talk us through the process that you've gone about creating this?
Be delighted to. Well, welcome to the new look Saladin Lodge. We had the opportunity, obviously after the Black Saturdays, to re-evaluate what was going to be designed and what was going to be put into fruition. For me, looking at it as a workspace and a home, it's got dual purposes here. So the workspace is to involve a conference room, to involve bed and breakfasts, to involve an event area, destination to come to, so you've got a large open space. So lots of little individual requirements had to be looked at when you sort of go into the energy side of it, is what do you need where that's going to be energy efficient and what's going to work. What then are customers looking for? Are they going to be impressed by the fact that it can be a very natural environment for them to come to, which was important as well, but more so important obviously with the, looking at energy efficiency from the bill factor, what's it going to cost me to run this place, and to get that cost down and to be as efficient as possible. First thing we're looking at, we've got a large open space in this room, is all the windows, every single window in the whole establishment is double glazed. So we're also capturing the light, the natural light and the natural sunlight, which is fantastic, facing a bit north, which is lovely. So that's all came into the environment of where you put the actual place. Looking at obviously the vista that you look out onto as well, but it is still all about where do you put it to maximise the natural, environment around you. So that came into it as well. Where all the walls are double insulated, ceiling has got about 3 lots of insulation in it, and therefore it works a treat, because to actually heat this environment here, which is, as you can see, a massive space, I've just got 2 combustion heaters. And the 2 combustion heaters use the resources that I obviously do have with the timber that's located here, and put those on. And all I do is chock them up, turn it on low fan. I've never had any higher fan. And I have got some lovely fans up here, which just keep the lovely soft heat moving around. And it's a very gentle heat. It's working a treat. It really is amazing.
Have you found the process going through the auditing to be helpful?
Extremely helpful. I think for me, you really brought a lot of issues to the fore, which I have, and many will be correcting as well, but also helped reaffirm why it's working, and kept me up to date. And I think that's another really important thing, is because I haven't done my homework for a little while, you've actually brought me up to date with some of the new founded products that have come on board way since I've done my homework. So that was terrific. It really was. It just kept me into the loop.
We're in the conference centre at Saladin Lodge, and what we're going to do is we're going to see what effect it has replacing these 150 watt QI lights with these 5 watt LED lights. So the current use in this room is 1 kilowatt per hour, or about 33 cents. Once we're finished, this room should use around about 0.9 cents per hour. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of light difference we get. Okay, so we've changed the quartz iodine lights to LED. To bring the light level in this room up to a satisfactory level, the client has decided now to add an additional 4 fittings. This will mean that the total consumption in this room will be 50 watts. Prior to our work here, the consumption in this room was 900 watts.
I'm here with David from the Tower Motel in Marysville. Recently this room has been renovated, and we did an audit to identify some of the opportunities for David in the process of renovation. But David's been very keen on the process, and maybe you could tell us why.
I think when you see probably some other photos of a few of the other rooms and get some footage, you'll understand why that I was pretty keen to go down a path of not spending money twice. And I suppose looking at a lot of the heating and cooling situations, which again you'll pick up in some of the other footage, you'll see it's pretty archaic. And I was keen to change that. I think this room is a good example of a nice upmarket room. On top of that, obviously, there's plenty of lighting, so we're looking to save money as far as lighting and bills go, because as everybody knows, a lot of the, if you like, utility bills are going through the roof, and
sure.
I don't think personally a lot of businesses probably work hard enough at looking at how they can actually save money. And one of the things that I'm looking at is the lighting, with the halogen lighting versus the more efficient lighting. The other thing we did have was the heating and cooling. The split air conditioners against the old, again, air conditioning out at the amount of power and what was generated going through there against what we're obviously saving with the split air conditioners there is huge.
This is the style of heater that the Tower Motel used in every room to heat it previously. These units are rated at 2.4 kilowatts and only just manage to heat the room to the right temperature. These have been replaced by the split system air conditioner, which uses less than 1200 watts and more than satisfactorily heats the room.
The Tower Hotel has the potential to save thousands of dollars per year. We found opportunities in heating, cooling and lighting. The Marysville Community Centre was included in the Green Business Assessment Program. Excessive drafts and energy waste in the hot water system were identified as 2 main opportunities to save energy and improve conditions in the building. The potential savings in hot water alone were estimated at approximately $17,000 per year.
Our water system here is reticulated around the building via the heat pumps here, which would be running 24 hours a day. You could come here any time of the day and these fans and pumps would all be running. Water is then stored in the storage tanks, and then it reticulates around water. So these would constantly be hot all the time, and the pumps would be running. So to combat all that, we've shuttled that down and run it just with the one smaller tank, which most of the time is sufficient.
So one of the issues with this building was the draft coming through, so it was quite cold, and obviously that's going to drive up the costs of heating as well.
Yeah.
There was a vent above these doors which is quite a large vent, and that was continuously open.
Yes.
They couldn't be closed.
No. It's part of the aesthetics of the building. These vents are around the building anyway, so it's part of the architectural finish of the building.
Yep.
Unfortunately, this particular vent at this side of the building, northwesterly, we get these winds coming up the valley here, and that was coming straight in the building, dislodging our ceiling tiles,
yeah, and
pushing more cold air through the building. So a simple solution there was to close it off, since it was just an aesthetic thing, and I'm not sure why it wasn't done originally, but we've closed that off now, and our heating now is being contained within these rooms. The air's not being pushed around. Yeah. It's actually a simple solution, identified by the climate group again, and we've enacted that, and it's worked a treat.
Fraga's Cafe is improving energy efficiency using a range of opportunities that were identified in the assessment process. The estimated savings are many hundreds of dollars per year.
After your visit, we took out some of the additional bulbs in the fluorescent lighting where there's double bulbs. We took out a few of the doubles, changing over the couple of halogen light bulbs which we have in the place. We're going to change those over to LED, and we turn the drinks fridge off overnight and back on again in the mornings.
Like most cafes, there are opportunities to save energy in the kitchen, and we identified a few. Often you have hot and cold appliances. One of the problems with having hot and cold appliances is that the heat from the hot appliances makes the refrigeration more expensive to run. Simply by moving those apart, it saves energy and improves the performance of the refrigeration.
In the case of this fridge here, it's very, very close to this dishwasher. The water temperature is about 78 degrees C, so the issue is that there's a massive radiating surface just here, and this refrigerator is constantly kind of trying to fight that radiated temperature. Most refrigeration systems use an air-to-air heat transfer, and airflow is very, very important. It's very common to see that dust and dirt collects inside these vents and blocks the airflow, and this means that the compressor has to run twice as long as necessary to keep the unit cool.
On a fridge like this, the radiating mechanism is underneath. Quite often that can get covered in dust, and that makes the unit work a lot harder than it needs to. So it's important to maintain the cleaning, and quite often it can be a good idea to replace this guard with something where the air will flow through a bit more easily.
Most commercial kitchens are fairly dependent on one of these range hoods to keep the fumes moving off the work area all the time. Unfortunately, most of them also are single speed, and they operate at a very high noise level and very high energy at all times. Because this building's fairly well sealed, when the fan unit's running, it's actually fighting against a partial vacuum. One of our suggestions would be to install an air chimney, a reverse chimney in this corner, which will allow air to come in to replace the air being removed by the range hood. This would improve the performance of the machine and also raise its efficiency. We're currently at Marmalades in Yea. This building was established in 1887. It's typical of some of the older buildings that we've seen while we were doing our auditing, and what's happened over time is the lighting system has evolved as the needs of the building has changed. The problem with this is that you get a heap of different types of lighting which are not necessarily complementary to each other. They have a range of different efficiencies, from the least efficient light fitting, which is the diachroic downlight, and the Edison screwed reflective 150 watt floodlights, and over time they've added fluorescent lights, and now they've even moved on to LED lighting. Above me is one of 2 of 500 watt floodlights that were installed originally for effect. These lights are not really used to illuminate the area, it's just merely to let people know that the business is open. The total consumption is in excess of 1,000 watts, and these could easily be replaced with an LED equivalent that would use 1/10 of the energy, so the payback period on those would be extremely attractive. Behind me we have a 50 watt diachroic downlight. Thanks to the magic of marketing, these things were sold as being efficient. The truth is, only 13% of the energy is converted to light. They produce a lot of heat, and they've been the cause of many fires. There's now an LED replacement lamp for these that uses only 5 watts and produces exactly the same amount of light. I'm talking with Damien, the chef from Marmalades Cafe in Yea. Damien, since we changed the light here from a diachroic to an LED, have you been happy with the performance of the light?
Look, I have actually. This is the second light you've actually put in for us. So the original one you put in for us was very, very good, quite bright, but this one seems a lot brighter. It seems to be like the original 50 watt halogen light that we had in. So yes, I'm quite happy with the light, thank you.
Another advantage is it contains 0 mercury, so it's actually, when you're disposing of the light, you're not putting mercury back into the environment.
Oh, it's always good for the environment. I mean, that's what we're about, isn't it? So if you be good to the environment, it'll be good back to you.
One of the issues we found at Marmalades that would affect their energy efficiency was the air infiltration through the building. Now, heating and cooling is usually a significant expense to a business, especially in hot and cold climates, and holes like this under the door have a significant impact on that energy efficiency. The hole under here is actually protected by National Heritage Trust, so there's not a lot they can do about that, but it does bring into focus what can be done in the rest of the building. When we came to the Bendigo Bank in Yea, we found that there wasn't any real evidence of energy waste. But when we did the numbers, we found there were opportunities. Now, the opportunities tend to be the same for most shops or buildings of this design, and they fell into 3 categories. The first is the lighting design, the second is the air infiltration, and the third is the hot water supply. Here we have a typical hot water service. This unit stores 125 litres of water, which is far more than is necessary for rinsing hands and rinsing cups. You can replace these units with the instantaneous hot water services, and they use a lot less energy. Most businesses need some form of water heating for washing dishes. A typical system is to put a storage system underneath the sink, which consumes a large amount of energy and wastes most of the energy. In this particular case, they fitted this tap which heats the water directly as soon as it's turned on. As soon as the tap's turned off, no further energy is used. In the Bendigo Bank, the front door is an automatic door, and it's controlled by an infrared sensor above. This sensor wasn't well tuned, so the door was opening far more frequently than it needed to. That allows air to move in and out of the building, raising the costs of the heating and cooling system, and it takes away from the comfort of the people who work here. So by fine-tuning that, they're able to reduce the air going in and out of the building, improving conditions for staff, and reducing the electricity costs. The way the lighting has been designed in the Bendigo Bank is typical for a building of this size. When we look at it, we find that there are some opportunities to improve that situation. We found that there are too many lights and they're actually orientated the wrong way. If we turn them around 90 degrees, we get a lot more reflection off the walls. That increases the light in the room and it improves the appearance of all the signage. To improve the lighting here, we'd keep the intensity high over the task areas, so over the desks we'd keep a lot of light. And for the rest of the room, we could de-lamp, we could reduce the amount of light in the room. That creates variable levels of light, which is often good for productivity, improves the appearance, and it reduces the energy cost. Good design and quality building has meant that cross-country ski hire has achieved a desirable level of energy efficiency and performance. However, opportunities for continuous improvement still exist.
We've employed a very good builder from the outset who was up to date with all the energy principles. We've maximised the insulation throughout all these rooms. This room in particular is our drying room, and all the walls are insulated and the ceiling. We've used double glazing for windows. The electrician has been working closely with us, and we've been able to capture all that off-peak sort of heating. All the appliances within the room we can opt out or opt in depending on what we need for a drying process for that night.
So you've got very good control over all the electrical items.
So it's not just every appliance every night coming on. We decide what we need and we can adjust it all, and then it's all timed to capture the off-peak rates. We've looked at the heating of the overall building itself, and rather than rushing in and putting large cassettes in to try and heat the big floor area, the open plan floor space in the winter, we've worked with energy consultants throughout the process, and they've suggested maybe just wait off and see what sort of temperature it is during the winter.
Sure.
So we found that just by opening the doors for the drying room in the morning, bringing all the heat out into the open areas and then having carpeted floors, that's really sort of provided enough heat for the day, so we didn't need to add extra appliances. So, energy consultants throughout the building process has been vital for us, just getting our needs right and just helping keep control of our costs.
The Black Spur Inn is located in Narberthong and participated in the Green Business Assessment Program. After auditing nearly 40 businesses in the area, we've found that perhaps the most common opportunity for businesses is to improve the airtightness of their building envelope. Now, often the holes in the envelope, the cracks and the gaps aren't very obvious, but when you total them up, it's a bit like leaving a window open. So in the Black Spur Inn, nothing was really obvious, but we found gaps around doors, around windows, some in the wall panel above me here, and we found that they were very significant. They were affecting the comfort of the building and the cost of heating the building. Before the assessment, you've done considerable work to improve the energy efficiency of the inn. Can you tell us something about that?
Well, we made sure and we went through with our lighting to reduce all our lighting and had the most energy available at that time. And had a lot of electrical work done. We also looked at our heating consumption, which is one of the greater costs of running a hotel like this. And we opted to change from gas heating to and not open fire heating to what's the name of that? Combustion heating.
Combustion fires.
Slow combustion fires. We've noticed considerable difference there, not just from the comfort point of view, but also the cost of the power. We've managed to have huge savings by eliminating the gas, which is $800 a fortnight.
Right.
So that's been a wonderful saving. Plus it's much, we found from a guest comfort point of view, it might not have anything to do with the energy, it's a much cosier heat, so people feel warmer, and so even though its temperature gauge is saying the same, they're feeling cosier and warmer and so happier.
So would you recommend for other businesses to look at this assessment process as something to do?
Very much so. As I said, sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees. You know, you're working at something all the time, and sometimes you just, when you're immersed in it, you just don't see it. And that was proven where just pointing out in the bottle shop the gaps in that feature timber wall. We knew there were gaps, but we never equated it to, you know, just straight outside and all that heat going. And also in the summer, the opposite was happening. So, you know, that's going to be what is not really, it doesn't look like it's going to be an expensive fix to do. You know, I think that will have a great impact as well.
The owners of the Black Spur Inn have reduced their costs by about 30% using energy efficiency measures. Most businesses have opportunities to improve energy efficiency by analysing heating, cooling, lighting, appliances, the building structure and electricity generation. Often this is a very rewarding process that can gain valuable recognition from customers.